Welcome back to the Boxes Lights game channel. We're playing War of the Ring. We're going to begin turn 1 with the Fellowship at Rivendell. The first step of a turn, each player gets to draw 2 cards. One from the character deck and one from the strategy deck. The Free People's player draws Ethelas and Dane Ironfoot's Guard. And the Shadow player draws Candles of Corpses and Monsters Roused. Phase 2 of a turn is the Fellowship phase. During this part, the Free People's players got a couple of choices. They can declare the position of the Fellowship, which on the first turn of the game it does nothing. Declaring the position of the Fellowship simply means moving the Fellowship according to how far up the Fellowship track we are, and we're still on 0 at the beginning of the game. But the other thing they can do is change the guide of the Fellowship. At the moment it's Gandalf, and I think what the Free People's player is going to do is just show you how that works. So we're going to go change the guide of the Fellowship now. There's different reasons why you might want to do this, but if you look at Gandalf the Grey, while he's the guide, he has this guide ability, and this guide ability says, whilst Gandalf the Grey is the guide, after you use an event action die to play an event card, you may immediately draw an event card from the deck matching the type of that card. So if we played a character card, then we'd be able to draw a new character card. If we played a strategy event card, we could then draw a new strategy event card. Alright, so that's the benefit of having Gandalf as the guide. Now Gandalf here, there's some numbers here. Gandalf is level 3. This number 1 is his leadership. We'll talk about that when we get there. But what we need to know at the moment is Gandalf is level 3. And when you change the guide, you can only change the guide for another companion at the same level. We can't change to a level 2 or a level 1 guide. Okay? But if we look through here, what we'll see is we have Aragorn, or Strider, as he's known at this stage of the game. And Strider is also level 3, and he has a guide ability that says you may use any of your action die results to hide a revealed Fellowship, and undoubtedly we'll see that in action. So during the Fellowship phase you can change the guide to another companion at the same level. So from Gandalf level 3 to Strider level 3. Now you may be wondering, well, how could any of the other companions become the guide for the Fellowship? Well, during the course of the game, companions can leave the Fellowship. They can go off, just like in the books. They can go off and do their own thing and leave the Fellowship. The next stage of the game is called the Hunt Allocation. During a turn, each player is going to be rolling these action dice. One of the rolls on here is an eye, and this is going to help you hunt down the Fellowship and capture the ring. But what you can do during the hunt allocation is you can, if you wish, sacrifice any number of these dice equal to a maximum of the number of companions in the Fellowship. And you can see that at the moment there's 7 companions to the Fellowship. So I could, if I wanted, as the Shadow player, sacrifice all 7 dice in the hunt for the ring. The problem is that I won't then be able to roll any and do anything else on this turn, and the hunt only happens if the Fellowship moves. So if I sacrifice all 7 dice to the hunt, the Free People's player will just say, right, well, I won't be moving the Fellowship this turn, you won't be finding me. Okay? But just to show you how this works, I mean, a normal strategy might be to just maximise your opening turn and put none there. But I'm going to put 1 die, I'm going to grab 1 die, set it to the eye, and you'll place it over here in the hunt for the ring box. What that means now, if the Fellowship moves, I'll be able to roll 1 die to try and hunt out the Fellowship. And if the Fellowship moves on this turn, then I'll show you how that works. The next thing we're going to do is actually roll our action dice. So let's grab our dice and roll. So for the Free People, it's 4 action dice. And they get 3 event rolls and 1 character roll. We'll talk about what these different die rolls means as we play them. And now the Shadow player rolls his remaining 6 dice. and he gets one character, one muster. These here are called army and muster, and you can use these dice for either an army action or a muster action. So it's 2 of those. And 2 event rolls. Now after we've rolled our dice, we always begin with the free people's player, and they can start resolving these. So these are the 4 actions available to the free people's player. 3 events and 1 character die. Let's consider the character die first. There's lots of things we can do with each of these dice, but I don't want to overload you with too much in one go, so I'm just going to show you one of the things that we can do with a character die. And this is limited only to the free people's player. And what they can do is move the fellowship. Okay? We can progress the fellowship. And all we do is we spend this dice, and using that action, we can move the fellowship progress counter 1 spot up the fellowship track. Like so, to number 1. And what we've said by doing that is we said, here's the fellowship, it's here. Ring bearers are in Rivendell. But they might be at least 1 spot, 1 region further away now. Okay? That's only for us to know. The shadow player doesn't know whether we intend to move here, 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 wherever, or indeed just stay where we are. It might just be a bluff. Okay? But at some point when the fellowship is declared or revealed, we would then move this token to the spot we wanted to move him to, or leave him where he is. So this token records the position the fellowship was last known to be at, but now the fellowship might be somewhere else. So they're kind of secretly, under the guide of Strider, heading off across Middle-earth. Now the shadow player takes a look in the hunt for the ring box and has got 1 eye here. As a result of this 1 eye here, we can hunt for the ring. And because we've got 1 die here, we can roll 1 die. That means we take 1d6, one of our combat dice, we give it a roll, and we're looking for a 6. A 6 means we've successfully hunted down the ring. A 3 means our hunt roll was not a success. Only a 6 is a success on the hunt roll, so nothing happens. Okay? But now we need to move this character die, the one that we used to move the fellowship during this action on this turn, into the hunt for the ring box. If we should move the fellowship again, alright, the shadow player only still rolls 1d6, but this time he gets a bonus to the roll, and it's equal to the number of dice here. And with 1 dice here, it means his 1d6 roll will get a +1 bonus. So if he rolls a 6, it's a success. If he rolls a 5, that would also be a successful hunt roll. Okay, 5 + 1 is 6. But if he rolls 4, 3, 2, or 1, it still remains an unsuccessful roll. So you can see the more times that the Free People's player moves the fellowship, the more dice are going to accumulate here, the more dangerous it is, and the more likely it is that the shadow player will successfully hunt them down. Okay, so Free People's players spent 1 of their dice, 1 of their action dice. What that means now is we switch and shadow player gets to spend 1 of their dice. And so it goes on, taking turns until both players have run out of action dice to spend. They can always pass on 1 and just toss it. For the shadow player, I'm going to choose this muster die. And every time we use a dice, we're going to put it off to the side of the board to show that we've spent that action. Again, there's a number of things that you can do with a muster die, just like with the character die or any of the other dice. But I'm just going to show you one of these things, and we'll learn the other things as the game progresses. And with a muster die, as you can imagine, one of the things you can do is muster reinforcements. All those units which were not on the board at the start of the game are reinforcements to us right now. Only nations who are at war can muster reinforcements, okay, or recruit reinforcements. But with a muster die, what you can do instead is take a diplomatic action, and a diplomatic action means moving one of your nation's counters down this track. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to move the Isengard nation down to the at war spot. If you take a closer look at these boxes, actually, it does say no movement into other nations and no muster. Alright, so when you're in here, you can't muster. This other bit says no movement into other nations. We'll look at that in just a second. Okay, back to the Free People's player, and they've got 3 event dice. And you can do one of 2 things with those event dice. You can either play an event card from your hand, or you can draw a new event card. Let's have a quick look at our event cards. I've got 2 cards. Dane Ironfoot's Guard. Recruit 1 Dwarven unit, regular or elite, and 1 Dwarven leader in Erebor. Now, I just told you can't muster, you can't recruit units if you're not at war. The exception is if you play an event card to recruit units. So I could actually recruit these units using an event card. Alright, you can't do it with an action die, but you can do it with an event card, so that's an exception. The other one says roll 3 dice and heal 1 corruption point for each die roll of 5+. Well, corruption's currently 0, so I don't want to play this, and I think I'm going to keep this card in reserve for now. So instead, Free People's player is going to use 1 action die, and we'll put a shot to the side to say that we spent it, to draw 1 character card. I can choose, it could be one of these or one of these. I'm going to choose a character card. And I get Weeper of the Swifter. And it says separate from the fellowship or move 1 companion or 1 group of companions. You may move them 2 extra regions, and so on. Alright, but I'll need to use another event die to get to actually play this from my hand. The top part is the bit that you activate when you play an event. There's also a second part to the card, and these cards have dual purpose. We'll look at this second part when we come to combat, but basically you can use any event card during combat as well. But for now, ignore the bottom half. Alright, we're looking at playing events, which is just the top half. Okay, that's our event die spent, so this goes in our hand. Shadow player now, and Shadow player is going to choose to play one of these muster dice. Remember I told you that these dice can be used either as a muster or this banner here on the right hand side of the die. This represents the army action. Alright, but we're going to use it for the muster action. So I'll place it off to the side as spent. And this time I'm going to do something special. I'm going to play a minion card, character card, Saruman. This is one of the character cards that we put aside at the beginning of the game during setup. And these character cards, either minions for the Shadow player or companions for the Free People's player, they have some text here at the top, which is special text that tells you when you can activate this card and bring this character into play. So Saruman the Corrupted Wizard said, if Isengard is at war, which it is because we just moved it down the political track to at war, and Orthanc is controlled by the Shadow, even if it is under siege, you may use 1 muster action die, which we just done, to place Saruman in Orthanc. And Orthanc's here at the centre of the Isengard kingdom. We take the Saruman figure and we'll place him here. This is Saruman's level 0, and it says Saruman can never leave Orthanc. Alright, this is his leadership. This symbol here with +1 means now that this character has come into play, this minion, Saruman, the Shadow player gets an additional action die. So I'm going to grab a spare red action die from the supply, and we can't use it on this turn, so I'm just going to place it off to the side here with the ones that we spent already on this turn. And now this card will go off into the Shadow player's hand, and it's got a couple of abilities here. It's got the Voice of Saruman and Service of the White Hand, and we'll see those come into play if and when we use it.